Noel's like, I am Noel. I love John Madden.
I am Noel. These Kansas City Chiefs games are rigged.
Can you tell it's 11:30 and we're tired?
In 2018, Sony Pictures released Venom, which was panned by critics yet praised by audiences. It had nothing to do with Spider-Man. With the success, Sony ran it all to the ground with sequels, a living vampire, and Amazonian spider societies. Now, in 2024, 3 small-time writers pitch movies to try and fix this tangled web of a franchise. I'm Jarrett.
I'm Peyton.
I'm Noah. And this is...
Has to do with Spider-Man, I think? Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Has to do with Spider-Man, I think, podcast. I know it's been a week. No. A month? No.
It's been a while.
It's
been much longer than that. The unstoppable march of time has passed us by.
Indeed. And we can explain why. 1.
No, we can't.
Jarrett moved. There's no problem with that. He moved.
2. I moved.
Yeah. 3. I've stayed where I am. But 4. We had 2 episodes pre-recorded and we lost both of them.
just gone.
Our stupid recording software, I forgot, deletes recordings after like a week. So that's entirely on me. So those will be re-recorded, and given how this movie may end up, we may need to rework them entirely, or depending on how this shakes up. And that's what we're going to be talking about on this episode. We're trying to go through everything that's been released about Venom: The Last Dance. You guys know about Venom: The Last Dance? You know there's a Venom 3 coming
Like
out
Dancing
this Friday?
Stars?
Like Dirty Dancing?
On the 25th, October
Oh
25th.
wow.
The last date, they're dancing or
Footloose.
something.
Get loose, foot. Kick foot.
Kick off
There
your
is
Sunday
a dance
shoes.
scene. Confirmed Sony Pictures required dance scene.
Yeah, the
in
court-ordered
Venom
dance
3.
scene
They showed
is
it off
with
in the
Mrs.
trailer.
Chin at LA for some reason.
It's in Las Vegas.
The rules of our universe are so far being upheld.
Yeah, no, they've... So Sony, regular listens of the pod, friends of the pod.
Yeah, friends of the pod, Sony. They, yeah.
So here's how this episode's going to kind of shake out. We're going to take about half of this episode is going to be, of the episode that you guys are listening to right now, is going to be us talking about what we have to go on so far before the movie has released, which is a couple TV spots and 2 main trailers. We're going to try and give our expectations, our theories, our ideas of where this might shaked out once it comes out. And then the second half of this episode, we're going to take a little break, and then when we come back, we will have seen Venom: The Last Dance, and we will share whatever the hell it is, and we will figure out from there what we do. Venom: The Last Dance. What are we thinking? What do we think of this whole situation here? Do we think we're gonna have to? Let's just take an overview right now. Do you guys think we're gonna have to scrap everything?
Yeah,
and start over?
100%.
Not. Oh. Wow. Just totally opposite. I got this feeling that if this is relying with a lot of hope on Sony, I got this feeling that they're gonna at least try to make this a story that is genuinely the end of Venom. If this is the end of the Venom trilogy as it's so called described, I don't see any reason why they should lie.
My first impression is that because right now, let's just get this out of the way right now. The rumor is that this movie sets up Noel so that they can build into using him as a major villain in another movie, probably Spider-Man 4, where Tom Holland meets Venom, and probably some other Spider-Man again, and maybe Morbius and Craven and
I think
whoever the
that's
hell.
very likely.
Now that we have aired that dirty ass smelly laundry out, I don't like that. We're way too soon into anything. They've jumped the gun. They saw the No Way Home money and they said we just want more of that now,
Yeah.
please. I hate that. I hate that from a storytelling standpoint. I hate that from a narrative standpoint. I hate that from like a business standpoint. Just like stick to your if you're this committed to making movies about Spider-Man characters without Spider-Man up to this point, then you need to commit and establish something before you try to build to
Yeah.
something this big.
It's not tracking well either. So I don't even know. I don't know.
And there's plenty of rumors about things that might be happening in this movie, who certain people are in this movie. Straight out of the gate, everybody was talking about this kid that's in like random shots of these trailers. And is he Peter Parker? Is he like a little Peter Parker? I don't know. I hope
The
not.
problem here is that genuinely, I don't know. It scares me, the not knowing.
The not knowing because we decided we committed to the idea that Sony didn't
We
care.
really did.
And then as soon as we started to build on the idea that they didn't care, it's like, okay, we'll fill in the blanks. Then they started to fill in the blanks for us retroactively without setting anything up. This is a Zack Snyder's Justice League situation. This is the BVS, like, okay, they clearly are. It's like if they were like, okay, if somebody was like, we're gonna make a podcast where we set up a Flash movie, an Aquaman movie, a Green Lantern movie, this, and to put in between Superman and BVS so that they can build up to Justice League. And then the movie came out and you saw that scene on the computer where they're like, nope, they're all here. We're moving to Justice League. And you
Yeah.
it's that level of like, oh, you're just throwing it against the wall so you can move on
What's
and not world
genuinely
build.
hilarious is that we had these plans developing. We started thinking about, okay, so clearly it seems like with Madam Web, Sony is just kind of throwing anything to see what sticks. And Madam Web didn't work. So there's a good chance that Venom and maybe Craven are probably going to be like their last ones. And then they throw in the towel, go all in on MCU Spider-Man, and or Spider-Verse, and that'll be all. And they didn't do that. Is the thing. We had all of this stuff like written, ready to go, and then the second trailer for Venom: The Last Dance has null.
Yeah, our group chat was melting. I was melting. Y'all know that. I sent the link for the trailer and I was like, fuck, 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 all caps. I was like, it's all over. We've already
Yeah.
lost. It's over. And then immediately I was like, no, no, wait, there we can still save this. I was like in the bargaining phase already. I was like, guys, we can say that there's like 2 phases of things that have happened between Morbius and Venom 3. And we can just keep building, and then we can have Venom 3 at the end. Or we can just ignore Venom 3. Or we can just say, like, well, if he's not a big deal in Venom 3, then he can be like the Thanos tease in Avengers. And then we can have 2 phases where he just is kind of teased or doing little stuff in the background. And then we build to a phase 3. I was bargaining. I was like, please God, don't ruin this for us as soon as we
I think like
start.
one of the options we could totally do, and I know this is ridiculous, but I've said it before, if this movie completely messes everything up when we return for this, we either ignore it or we say that our pitches going forward is like Earth. I can't remember what this is. I think it's Earth 918 or something along those lines.
Just say that
Earth
it's a timeline
918
variant.
B, right? Like that's like the easiest way to navigate this is to just say there's a split. Venom slash Craven is the last movie of this universe, and then Spider-Man 4, whatever happens in that, takes place in the MCU slash whatever. But I think that it's kind of an interesting challenge to be experiencing something like this because we're going from having coherent plans. we had pretty much most of phase 1 plotted out. The only thing that we were planning to do was sit down and actually figure out what we were going to do for that last movie of phase 1, and we were going to record that for y'all. And then we had a lot of phase 2 movies, kind of just the titles and like casting already kind of decided. Um so and we had like a sort of beginning, middle, and end in terms of what we're kind of shaping up. And with something like this, if it's actually posing the threat that it could totally like reshape what we're going to have to do, I think that could be a fun challenge for all three of us in terms of, as creatives, working with these bounds, working with these challenges. We cannot be stalwart. We cannot be just standing still in an ocean with the waves constantly beating us. We're going to have to move with the waves. And so I'm really interested in how this movie is going to function. If it messes up everything, that sucks, but it's also all right. If it doesn't mess up anything, it's going to be like, oh, thank God. Like,
So what you're saying is we're at our pandemic Marvel Phase 4 planning 2 films
Yes,
into
yes,
our
yes, we are.
in a
universe.
way, but also like we have the benefit of hindsight. Like Marvel Phase 4, 5, and 6 does not have a sort of like Infinity Stones. It doesn't have any coherency. It doesn't make much sense. We still have that opportunity because we're so early in to the whole thing to allow us to do whatever. It's very uncommon though for a cinematic universe to have 3 movies in its phase 1 that are all of the same character, being Venom.
Right. Even Iron Man didn't have a third movie until after
Exactly.
Avengers came out.
But I think that's going to be kind of fun to play with. It would be like us trying to shape a cinematic universe based on the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man. Like it's like, oh, we have already 3 movies in this. What are we going to do next? Are we just going to keep making Spider-Man sequels, or are we going to try to do spin-offs? Are are we gonna give Sam Raimi as much money as he wants and make Tobey Maguire really old and make it Logan style? Like, I'm just thinking about that meme. It's like watch it make $3 billion in the box office. Like,
I will be perfectly honest and say that I think our goal shouldn't be immediately damage control, because the goal of this podcast initially was to take the complete insane setup of the Sony series and try to make anything coherent out of what is already there. So I think it would be entirely disingenuous of the entire initial purpose to see Venom The Last Dance ruin everything and immediately try to ignore it.
right.
I think that it would be the most challenging, but also the most fun to take what we have already. So we've got Mr. and Mrs. Parker and the currently recorded third episode, El Muerto. So we have those 3, and we see what happens with Last Dance, and then adapt as it comes.
The one thing that's
I agree
really
with
stressing
that.
me out is the concept of Spider-Man possibly existing in this universe. In in Venom 3 or Craven, Spider-Man showing up and it being Tom Holland. That is the one thing that I'm sitting here like stressed out about, because we had Spider-Man appear in Doc Ock. He was not named in terms of the actor that we had planned. I think that we're still kind of trying to decide that. But if it is actually Tom Holland that is Spider-Man, suddenly that throws a totally different wrench into the whole thing that we'll have to totally work out either in this episode or outside of this episode. And that's going to be really stressful. I do not know how we can function with that.
I have a feeling that they're going to say that Spider-Man is just he either doesn't exist in the Sony universe or he's that stupid kid, which either way would throw a wrench in our plans a little on some level. But I'm pretty sure They're gonna say that Tom Holland's Spider-Man is in like Spider-Man 4, like the MCU version, and then crosses over, does another multiverse thing, but this time with the Sony characters in order to fight Null. I don't think it's going to be, hey, there's another Spider-Man in the Sony universe that is the same actor, because they've never done that before with the different iterations. They've never kept the same actor
I
between
think
two
that's
universes.
absolutely the most likely. I just want to say, what if the justification they use to like have it just be Spider-Man is when Vulture says at the end of Morbius has to do with Spider-Man, I think, and Morbius doesn't seem to be confused.
Oh my god.
I will throw things in the theater.
Yeah.
I will not be allowed back on the premises ever again.
I
because
was
of how
wondering if we
violent I
could
get.
move on into the next thing in which we could offer our predictions for the movie before we go
Yeah.
and see it.
I think it's definitely fair to move on to talking about Venom on its own merits.
Yeah, I think that
And
this is gonna be a shorter episode in general, just because of the nature of it.
Do we want to talk about some of the smaller pieces of the actual trailers themselves and whether or not we think they're going to play a big deal into it, or
do
do we just
both.
want to brush them over? Rissa Fons is in the
Yep.
trailer.
Yeah.
Do you think that's Lizard coming
No.
back from No Way Home and having
No,
been
I
thrown in
don't.
the wrong universe?
My
Okay,
justification, none of this makes sense. I have stopped caring about any kind of
Which is why
continuity.
they'll do it, Noah. Which is why
He
they'll do
has
it.
2 arms.
Yeah, it would be ridiculous. He
Does
has
he?
2 arms, and also, like, I know this isn't a valuable source, but the Wikipedia does say that his name is Martin (parentheses hitchhiker). So
The hitchhiker.
So he's just
yeah,
some dick. Okay. Some dick with a
Oh, yeah,
venom.
and Chiwetel Ejiofor as the symbiote hunter guy.
that scene kind of confuses me in the first trailer in which he traps the symbiote that was in the same,
Yeah, the Spanish bar from the MCU.
but also like, I guess it makes sense. I don't know.
On some level, you have to also remember this is the same studio that put Tobey Maguire's suit across the wall in Morbius. With
That
the
was in the
murder
trailer.
across it. That was in the trailer, never
Nope.
in the movie. What else? The scene where Morbius and Vulture meet, and he's like in an ambulance smock, or he's being moved from prisons, and he says, "What's up, Doc?" Not in the movie, it's in the trailers. They have a habit of just filming shit
All
that they
the
don't
lines
use.
from Ezekiel Sims are dubbed over. In Madam Web.
Jarrett, I love how you're coming into this episode with this just boiling rage under the surface. It's so funny.
Scary.
I there's I'm scared. I'm scared that we've put all our faith in the idea that Sony didn't give a shit, and now they're trying to pretend they give a shit, and
But
it's
we're
going to ruin
writers,
everything.
so we got it.
We can do
We ain't
this.
that good.
We're
We
pretty
could
decent,
try.
all things considered, in terms of like knowing how story structures work, I guess.
We're better than Sony in that regard.
Yeah.
I just know that Sony is willing to film things and then not use them, or set up things and then knock them down and try and build something else over
I feel
there
like we should be
instead.
allowed to sue them for
On a
lying in the
whim.
trailer. Isn't
Yeah,
that something
probably.
that's happened? Has it like there been litigations?
Against Marvel, I think there was something. I don't think we ever heard anything more about it. But some dude was like, "There's a scene in this trailer that
Infinity
isn't in the
War.
movie, or like dialogue was put in it to seem one way when it was really another. That's misleading." But yeah, what else? There was one other thing that I wanted to point out. Venom.
Yeah,
Horse
Venom
is
Horse is
sick.
great. Venom Frog, Venom Fish.
I turned my cat into Venom with the AI thing.
No.
Yeah.
The marketing for this movie has been crazy.
Venom pours milk on himself.
Way more than the first two films, I think. Like, I don't remember this big of a marketing push for Venom.
There's
1
an
or 2.
advertisement on the PlayStation 5 for Venom 3 that then says buy Spider-Man 2.
There's a really shitty Opera GX custom wallpaper that's just an Area 51 background that looks like it's from a Flash game. with a
I
PNG
have
of
not seen
Venom in the
this.
middle. I use Opera GX for my browser just because Google sucks. And I gotta show you this.
Oh my
I'll
gosh, I
post it
have
in the
it
chat
pulled up
later.
right now.
But
This looks ridiculous.
it's so
This
fucking
is
bad.
hilarious. Eddie, I'm on Opera.
Idiot! I'm in a browser.
De-Google your life, Eddie.
My
We need Opera
favorite of
GX.
any of these. I'm not even a wrestling guy, but the UFC one is like my favorite advertisement for this movie. Eddie Brock just walks into this like UFC headquarters. This guy's talking on the phone. I don't even know his name. And he's like, "Hey, I want to do fights for you. I can do fights. I can do good fights. I'll fight Bigley and like you could give me money." And the guy's like, "Who the fuck are you?" Like he starts like cursing out Eddie Brock.
I think that UFC ad like bumped up the number of F-bombs in the Sony universe like doubled.
True, yeah, doubled it because he's just cursing like a sailor. Which then it's like, oh man, a rated R Venom movie would actually be pretty sick, but that's not gonna happen. That is never gonna happen.
He went on
And of
Hot
course,
Ones, started screaming
he
about milk,
did.
and now there's a lot of gifs with Venom pouring milk on himself. We found one on Discord that's just it's just Venom pouring milk on himself, and it's captioned "Milk Tua." What are we supposed to do with that? Is that canon? Do we have to introduce Milk Tua into the SPUMM?
Or we can introduce Hot Ones into the SPUMM universe. We could get Dark Arc onto Hot Ones.
Hawk ones?
Hawk Ones?
Hawk two
We gotta
ones?
stop. We gotta stop.
What do you think? Okay,
Cannot.
what do you think they're gonna do with the police chief who is
Definitely the
a
green one.
symbiote?
I don't even know these names.
That's probably Toxin.
That is a bluish green one, kind of with
I think
reddish
that he's
yellow
probably
eyes.
gonna like they're probably gonna be like, and look at this one. He spent a lot of time with Eddie Brock. And then look, now he's a symbiote. This guy is clearly dangerous, and then they're gonna burn him. Like we're gonna just see him get lit on fire.
I have a weird feeling he and the other Life Foundation symbiotes are just gonna be like held in stasis for a majority of the movie. The other ones that are all different colors are gonna be kept in the cages and probably burnt and destroyed. So Life Foundation symbiotes are out the window now. You can't use them. And what's the thing's
Right
name? Riot,
is Riz Ahmed.
whatever the police chief one's name is probably going to try to fight Venom and then end up deciding to help and then
Yeah,
die.
probably. Patrick Mulligan.
And last but not least, do you think that Venom will die?
No.
Do you think Eddie will
No.
die?
I think there's a bigger chance that
Okay.
Eddie might die. Like Tom Hardy has been weirdly clear on the fact that he wants this to be his last time as Venom.
Yeah. But they've also said that they're not going to set up Null and then make him a one-time villain. They're going to build him up. So I wonder if Venom and or Eddie dies in this movie, having not defeated Null, saving him for Spider-Man 4, which does not include
Also,
Venom.
I love Donny Cates's run on Venom. It's like one of my favorite runs of all
So
time.
good.
It was the first omnibus that I ever bought. I read it all the way through in like 3 days. It is one of my favorites. It is not a Peter Parker story. It is in fact like Peter Parker does not appear until like the very last like 3 or 4 issues of Venom. It's kind of ridiculous if they're actually going to turn Null into a Spider-Man villain because he is not conceptualized as a Spider-Man villain.
That's fair.
Donny Cates' Venom run is about family and parents, and like it's gonna be a video essay of mine in a couple weeks, I'm sure. But like, I don't think that there's a way you could do that with Peter Parker that'll work as well as it does with Eddie Brock.
Real quick,
Mhm.
I do want to fact check something I just said. I just looked up some of the quotes from Tom Hardy, and I was wrong. This is from IGN from yesterday. I've loved every moment of Eddie and Venom, and I was really fond of them, Hardy said.
Don't
I
talk
played them
like that.
anytime, because there's a special place that exists within me to want to operate those two characters, wherever you put them in whatever capacity. I feel like a sense of obligation and responsibility and duty of care to those two that will never end. I'll always be with them.
That's a good impression of Tom Hardy.
Thank you.
That's a good impression of Tom Hardy trying to be Eddie Brock, where he just sounds
Thank you.
drunk
I
and
didn't know I
sweaty.
had that in me.
When Tom Hardy is actually like a
I think
big
he's British.
Australian man. Is he British or Australian? I
Tom
know he's got the
Hardy's
gruff accent.
nationality. British.
What?
I was right.
If he does die, this could be setting up for either an Agent Venom or a She-Venom movie. Or there's
True.
the whole thing in Donny Cates's book where if Eddie Brock or a symbiote carrier dies, their codex is technically imbued within the whole symbiote thing. So Eddie Brock can still remain, and then like he can possess a dragon. And then like during like the final fight, Tom Hardy speaking from a symbiote dragon.
Rad.
Because that happens in the book.
That is true, yeah. Do you think the kid is
That's what I
Dylan?
was gonna say. Do we want to let's do some predictions because I have 3 predictions. Do y'all have any predictions?
Are
Like
Anne and Dan gonna be in this movie? Because they're my favorite characters in the Venom.
Anne Wang is not confirmed for this.
I think they're done. Like, Eddie's backed off. He knows that they're happy together and he doesn't want to put them in danger. So they're going to go live happily in San Francisco and he's going to go ride a Venom horse into the
Okay.
desert.
I like Anne and Dan though.
I mean, in the
Yeah,
books, Anne
Anne's
is
fun.
dead. Anne's been dead for so long, so it's better to have her just have a happy life.
What about Dan?
I would rather them live over in San Francisco than her die and him
That's
be
fair.
alone.
I respect that. Okay, predictions. Go for it, Peyton.
Well, Jared had mentioned Dylan, and that was actually one of my predictions, is that I believe that somehow Dylan Brock is going to be integrated either in a post-credit scene or I don't think the kid himself is Dylan. I think the kid is probably like a part of the hitchhiker family. I bet they're probably a family that's doing a road trip and it's probably played for gags that like Eddie has to sit next to a child because we haven't really had that dynamic in the last 2 movies. So him getting to talk to a kid is going to be totally different. Venom getting to talk to a kid is going to be totally different. I don't think that that's Dylan, but I have a feeling that Dylan could possibly appear in a post credits or at some point like is hinted at. I'd be interested in seeing it, at least in the Kate's run, where Dylan's this product of Eddie and Anne, but it's more so Eddie and Venom, the symbiote. It's really
Right.
weird. It's like the Venom symbiote and Anne's child. I don't know. It gets really complex, but it's not how you think it is. It's really like it's completely different because I believe that Anne has Dylan and then kills herself.
Okay.
He's
Oh.
living with Eddie's father, which that leads to my second prediction, which I think is going to be somehow a tie-in to Eddie's abusive childhood. We got to see that in Venom 2 with Cletus Cassidy's childhood. I feel like it's only right for somehow Eddie to have his childhood be revealed. I just don't know how. I have 2 predictions. Those are my 2 predictions, but I have one more, but I'll let y'all have the floor for a minute.
Okay.
Okay. I think that, truthfully, I'm being 100% honest with you. I think this could potentially be the best of the trilogy, and that's saying a lot considering how much of the future of this podcast is riding on this not being like as influential as it seems to be making itself out to be. But I genuinely think we're just going to get an hour and a half or 2 hours of a lot of just fun, stupid gags and funny action sequences. And I think the kid's probably just going to be some kid. I can't tell in the trailers if if the woman with the boy is either his older sister or his mother. I think it might have more to do with her than him. That's why I don't think it's Peter Parker, is because whether that's his mother or his older sister, that means it ain't
Right.
Peter.
That makes sense.
Or that's a super young Aunt May.
Ain't no way. I ain't buying it. It's just they're gonna fight a lot and nothing. I don't think anything's really gonna happen of substance until the very end, and then it's gonna set up a Spider-Man 4. I think it's gonna be fun, and I think overall, the things that it sets up could easily be ignored. I think it's going to be telling its own story with the aliens falling from the sky and the green one, the other symbiotes that Life Foundation
Toxin.
has. I'm assuming that's the Life Foundation. Toxin. I think it's gonna be Toxin and the aliens falling from the sky, and then Null's going to be teased for the end. And he's going to have nothing to do with the overall plot until the very, very end. I don't know if they're teasing that one of the two of them's going to die. I don't think so.
Cop
I
out.
don't think so.
Big
I think they're
cop out.
fine. I think it's going to be a fun time that disappoints on
I
every
think yours is
expectation.
pretty much what I expect as well. Like, I don't know. I don't know if I'm just not giving them enough credit, but I kind of doubt that they're going to dive super deep into Eddie's psychoanalyze Eddie in this last movie when they really haven't for the previous two. I think there's a good chance, like Jarrett said, it's gonna just kind of keep being the goofy buddy cop Eddie and Venom relationship with them now on the run, and so gonna be kind of a cross country buddy cop movie kind of thing. Where I'm kind of stuck, and I'm trying to piece it together, is with the fact that you have what looks like they're on the run from this like symbiote police force or whatever. And I do remember thinking when the first trailer came out, I was like, this is it? Like, this is what they're doing for the third movie? Just police force and then like a weird symbiote monster dude? That's a little strange. So I do get the fact that you got Null coming in for this final movie to be like the big spectacle piece to close out the trilogy, but I just don't know how they're going to like work those two ideas together. Is it probably the case that Null is just going to show up for 2 seconds, be like, hey, I'm spooky, and then that's just setting up a next movie? I think that's probably likely. But otherwise, does this mean that maybe Hail Mary, the symbiote cops realize that Venom is on their side? Venom gets to finally be a hero, uncontroversially a hero, working with these people to fight back the aliens coming from his homeworld, and actually be seen as the lethal protector by the end.
Right. So it's his last dance as an anti-hero.
Yeah, that's. I think that's where I'm gonna stake my biggest prediction.
I have a prediction, not associated with like the overall plot or where it's leading into for the future. I forget the name of the kill squad, but it's a real thing in the comics. It was like a task
Yeah.
force that was specifically set up to hunt down symbiotes and Venom specifically. I think they're each going to get a Life Foundation
That's
symbiote, 'cause
possibility.
there's 5 of them. It's Chiwetel Ejiofor and his 4 little army goons, and they're each going to get a
I
Life
could
Foundation
definitely
symbiote.
see this being like, this is our final Venom movie, so we're gonna throw everything at the wall to see who it sticks. Here's Toxin, here's Scream. It's one of the other symbiotes.
Phage,
Yeah, like
Lasher.
Scream, Lasher. We already got right. Toxin, Scorn.
Who's the technophage? That's like the purple one.
That's Scorn.
Scorn.
Agony, Lasher, Phage, Riot.
Yeah, I think there's a good
Scream.
chance we'll end up seeing all of them by the end.
And I'm gonna say that Chiwetel Ejiofor is probably Lasher.
Yeah.
I realize I actually have 2 predictions, not one more.
The only issue being that Riot is one of the 5, and he was.
I do want to say
in the
one last
first one.
thing. What if Venom realizes that to fight off monsters coming from his world, he has to share himself with the squad?
Like Shazam?
Uh-huh.
No.
And so they all turn into symbiotes. There's a big hero shot and close up, we are Venom.
That will be ridiculous.
Do you think they're gonna hold hands in a circle and say "We are Venom," and then a lightning bolt's gonna
Yes.
come down?
And Zachary Levi will step out of the lightning bolt and playing his new most famous character, Harold and the Purple Crayon.
Oh my gosh. Scorn.
He's Scorn.
everything.
Yeah. Yep, that's what it is. Okay, Peyton, continue.
So 2 predictions. One of them is kind of more of like a fun general thing, and the other one is like a more grand scheme thing. So the grand scheme one that I've thought about is if they're gonna hint at Null and they're gonna try to do like a Spider-Man 4, if that's that's what the theory is, why not just have an incursion event?
Ooh.
If that's what they're trying to play with, if they're going to try to integrate this SPUMM stuff into the MCU, the simplest way to just do that is an incursion event. And this is like technically the first incursion event that will lead into Secret Wars. I know that's like such a geek thing to think about, but like, I wouldn't be surprised if Sony tries to jump the gun in that case.
It'd be kind of cool.
Retroactively make it important to
Exactly,
the
Yeah.
multiverse
and
saga.
kind of do it like in a way that proving that they're actually wanting to make this a multiverse kind of thing by involving the other movies.
Right.
I think that'd be kind of cool.
It would be kind of wild.
In a way that makes you think when you watch it for the first time. I don't think they asked Kevin Feige if they could do that.
Yeah. It's the thing where you're like, is this allowed?
I want there's gonna be a scene where you see like from like the same visual from like Multiverse of Madness where the two universes are crashing into one another, and you just look at it and you go, "She didn't ask Feige to do that shit. She just did
Amy.
it. She just did it so that they could say, haha, see, it's connected." Feige saw it in the theater along with everybody else and went, "Fucking fine."
But
I give
also
up.
in the movies, so in Venom 2, it's mentioned that the symbiotes have a hive mind that spreads across all multiverses, which then
Which makes no
implies
sense.
it doesn't make sense, but that implies that there isn't multiple nulls. There might just be one anchor
Yeah,
null.
Null is absolutely a multiversal
Yeah.
threat, which is why he would probably be a villain in Spider-Man 4, because he would like start to probably screw with the symbiote left behind in the MCU and like make it track down Peter, if I had to guess. That's thinking way too far ahead. But anyway, Null's gonna be after the MCU stuff after Spider-Man, after Venom 3.
I'm
Venom
tired
3
of
happens and he
cinematic
goes
universes.
Spider-Man.
Let's just cancel
Brother.
it all. Let's
No. We're in too
forget
deep.
it. Let's break it Topher Grace.
No.
But then here's my fun prediction. So this is like, I know that I've been the one that's been kind of thinking more so in terms of like future projects and like future hints. So this is like the one that like is more fun. I had to write it down. I was like thinking about it earlier today. So I think that there might be a scene in which like Venom is on the run. Most likely he'll probably find him. He's gonna be in Vegas. I can imagine like some police cars arriving, and you know how there's like the blue and the
Oh
red?
wait, yeah. Let me look up a picture real fast.
Like I'm thinking about the 90s
Like
symbiote look, right?
let me see, like this kind of look.
Yeah, exactly, something like that. Our logo is kind of
Yeah,
based on it
yeah.
too. Like it has a sort of, it has a lot of references. And Anger did this rampage. I bet he's probably gonna like jump around and probably destroy these cars and like break the lights or whatever. And near the end of it, it's just gonna be blinking the blue light, which is kind of reminiscent of like Marvel versus Capcom's look for Venom as well. And this makes sense because the working title for this movie was called Blue Harvest.
I'm
And
gonna
coincidentally,
actually
the same
fucking kill
name
you.
for the
I'm
original
gonna
Star Wars
find
movie
you
in
in your house in
1977.
Kentucky, and I'm gonna tear you limb from limb. I'm gonna rip your tongue out of your throat so you can't say Blue fucking Harvest again.
No, it's the working title for this one is Blue Harvest 2. That's wild.
Yeah, which isn't ridiculous. It's
That's
the same one as
crazy.
the one from the. Yeah, it's kind of wild.
That's like Star
but
Wars.
Kinda. Yeah, like the original working title for
Yeah.
Star Wars.
I'm
Yeah.
Jared, did you know
fucking
that
kill
was
myself.
from Star Wars?
Thank you,
hate you
Mr.
both.
Sunday Movies and Mason.
Stop
They
shouting
will
them
never hear
out.
this. Yeah, those are my.
You think we're gonna get a shot with the red and blue lighting, like in the?
I will text you. I'll text you losing my shit going Blue Harvest.
Okay, but
Fuck.
kind of genuinely, I would love it if they did the 90s the 90s look.
I would actually love it if they did the cartoon look.
Yeah. Well, do we want to take a break and then come back?
Yeah, let's break for the moment because I think Jarrett might actually kill you.
Yeah, and then we'll come back once we see the movie.
I will find a way to reach my hands through
We're
the
gonna
screen.
be feeling awesome. We're gonna be feeling good. This is gonna be movie of the year. My prediction is that it's going to win every Oscar. this is going to bring
gonna-
Martin Scorsese out to every theater to see it.
I hope he wins a Kids' Choice Awards and then he gets covered in slime.
Yeah.
I think he's gonna make a
Venom
Venom $1 million.
million.
What if he got covered in slime, but it was actually milk, and everybody said milk Tua?
All right. Thank you, everybody. We'll be back in a little
Thank
bit.
you guys. We're gonna take a short break, and when we come back, we will have seen Venom: The Last Dance, and all of these questions will be answered, probably some at least, hopefully, and then we can figure out. We can kind of maybe brainstorm where we want to go from here, and how this all fits together. Thank you guys so much for watching.
Hey, editor Peyton here. Currently having a really bad sickness. I don't know what this is, but it's sickness and in health, right? So this is a little bit of a buffer. We in this next part have just seen the movie. We do try to do a spoiler-free review, and then we have a spoiler talk. So try to go see the movie if you can, because we talk a lot about stuff that happens in the movie. Anyways, alarm's over. Bye. We are back. Hello, everybody. We did not literally just get out of seeing the movie. Both me and Jarrett saw it on the same day. Noah saw it yesterday. We got free. But to you, it's only been a mere second. Maybe I put in like a little bit of me talking or something. Yeah.
It's been 3
I
years.
actually put the entire pitch of El Muerto in between the break.
Are you implying that it took 3 years for us to like post the recording of El Muerto? And now we are coming to you from the far-flung future of 2027.
It's October 2027.
Is it?
It took you this long to write El Muerto, but we're still here. The accident was not your fault.
I miss my wife.
You're
So
not
we got out of
married.
seeing Venom: The Last Dance. We had given some of our predictions earlier in the episode. And so let's give kind of like a spoiler-free review before we kind of get into it. Jarrett, do you want to go first with your thought?
This movie's fun. And it's overhated, quite frankly. I'm not gonna say it's like a significant step above the first two, but I say with 100% honesty that I think it's the best of the three, not by a wide margin, but it is my personal favorite. I think just because it has more going on. The first movie's it's very much an origin movie, which I think can only be but so good just because of the fact that you have to set up the character and their power set and their motivations and everything. This felt like more of a direct sequel to the original than Let There Be Carnage, where it was more dealing with like the aspects of the symbiotes landing on Earth, space travel, them interacting with humanity, and those different like conflicts that would come with aliens trying to make a home on Earth. And it also has just more heart than I really expected going in. And it kind of threw me for a loop watching. I was like, oh, this feels more genuine than the first two did. And part of that is kind of the nature of Venom. These movies have been very goofy, and so are the 90s comics, the Lethal Protector comics that they were based on. But I don't know, this comes from different source material that is more modern. Some of the source comes from a run that started in 2018 and only just recently ended maybe a year or two ago. And it feels like it comes from a different era of source material, and I prefer it. It could also just be ADHD brain being glad that more is going on. But overall, I enjoyed it a lot.
No, what'd you think?
I was less favorable. If I had to rank them, I really like the first Venom, surprisingly. It kind of shocked me with how much I was a fan. I wasn't as sold on Let There Be Carnage. It's got its moments, but it's really overstuffed and it doesn't really know what it's trying to do for a lot of the movie. Last Dance is better than Carnage in my mind, but I do think the first Venom had a tighter script, and this one has some of the same problems as Carnage did, where it feels like there is just so much going on that probably doesn't need to be going on. I loved anytime that Eddie and Venom are on screen together, their banter back and forth is so strange, yet it works really well for some indefinable reason. But I think some of the added stuff really took away from that. And Jarrett, I think you are putting it in more of a frame of reference where I can see where a lot of the appreciation could come from. And so I fully respect liking this movie a lot. I just wasn't that big of a fan. And I have a comparison that I'd like to use for it, but I'll let Peyton go first.
So I'm kind of coming at it where Venom 2 is actually my favorite one. So 3
I'm glad that we all have 3 incredibly different takes.
This is good. This is amazing.
Yeah, this is
For
great.
further context, before we started doing this podcast, I was kind of in a big Venom kick. Like I've read a lot of the 90s stuff and I've read Donny Cates's run. And like Jared had said, I think we actually had like a conversation a couple nights back, kind of talking about this, where the first 2 Venoms are really set in that sort of goofy era, like Eddie eating chocolate to satiate Venom and stuff like that. This one really does put itself in the Donny Cates stuff. And I enjoy that, but I thought that like Venom 2 had, for me, I really like the art direction of Venom 2. And I like the directorial style of Andy Serkis. So that's why I really like that one. But in this one, I think that like Kelly Marcel does an excellent job as not just a screenwriter but a director in their directorial debut. And I thought that that was like a really impressive feat. I think that as a finale for this character, it works and it does what it needs to do. I think I agree with Noah though that there's a lot of other stuff that happens in this that's kind of like bloated. It's kind of like Spider-Man 3 in a way, but not with like a ton of villains. It's a different kind of Spider-Man 3.
It's always the third in the trilogy.
I liked it a lot.
Yeah. No, I'm just saying I really like that, like, we have Jarrett who loved it, Peyton who's kind of in the middle, and then me who wasn't as big of a fan. This breeds good discussion.
I recently put on Letterboxd my score for the movie, and right now the first film is a 3, and this film is a 3.5. Venom 2 is like 1.5 or 2. I forget. No, I remember because we had a conversation where Peyton was not mad, but just dumbfounded that I gave Let There Be Carnage 1.5,
It's
and I gave
frankly
Morbius
ridiculous.
2.
I do remember that,
It's
and I do think
ridiculous.
that's
It is
insane.
ridiculous. I digress. It's ridiculous.
I may need to rewatch Let There Be Carnage, but
I think also
It's-
Morbius is just this entirely different level of completely bland nothing movie that
Mhm.
is just so hard to watch.
I'm kind of backwards from the norm, I would say, when it comes to generic films. And I say that because there's a lot of 6 out there overall, in my opinion.
That's fair.
But I would prefer a 6 out of 10 where I can tell that there are stakes and there is emotion. I will take that over one that doesn't feel like it has stakes whatsoever. The first movie I enjoy because of how insane it is, the premise, and how it's portrayed by Tom Hardy in that movie. But when they need to then stop a rocket from launching in order to save the planet from an alien invasion, I do not feel the stakes.
Right.
When aliens invade and intend to bring a dark god to the world in order to destroy it and rule it as its king, and it's taken a little bit more seriously, I can feel the stakes a little bit more, and I'm like, okay, you have me. Take me for a ride. If there are jokes along the way, cool. As long as you understand that taking over the world is a bad thing and we're not joking about it.
Respect that.
I would prefer a generic movie that takes itself seriously than a generic movie that knows it's dumb and plays it up, because then I just feel numb.
Okay.
But most people are the opposite. It's like if if it knows it's a mediocre movie and it has fun with that, some people find it more enjoyable. I'm kind of backwards. I'm the opposite in some respects. And even then, the 3 Venom movies are not that different to me. They all kind of fall into this nebulous range of like similar quality, but I like certain ones more personally, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like
think
I
that's
wouldn't
fair.
call any of these 3 good movies. I would find some of them actively unrewatchable and some of them mildly to decently entertaining.
I rewatched Venom 1 and 2 before going and seeing this. I rewatched it with my girlfriend. And I think that like Venom 1 for me, like I gave it a 3-star, but Venom 1 is unbearable. I cannot stand it. And I think it's because it suffers from origin story syndrome, where it's like, at least in the Ant-Man narrative, it's pretty interesting to have this guy that's like doesn't get it. But with like Venom, it's like you're seeing that again. Blue Beetle does it.
Because you and I were having this conversation yesterday, and I was saying, like, more often than not, especially with superhero movies, I will prefer the sequel to the origin story 9 times out of 10, because in the sequel, you're able to see the hero, like, in his element and already familiar with their power set,
Right.
rather than see them get their powers and learn how they work. The only example, like we both agreed on the other day, was Ant-Man, because
Right.
the point is that he is not entirely in the know,
It's
but
a
other
hard
people
watch
are.
with origin stuff for me. I don't know. So like when I
Mhm.
was rewatching it, I kept fluttering in and out of sleep. And it's like I have a similar problem with Madam Web. I have a similar problem with Morbius. I got a feeling that I'm probably gonna have a similar problem with it in Craven. And I think that that's just me. I worry in doing the like inner episodes, my pitches could easily become the thing that I hate, which is an origin.
I just want to say real quick, it's really fascinating that you bring up the Ant-Man comparison, because I actually think that the reason this movie didn't really work for me is for very similar reasons to Quantumania, where you have the first two movies are pretty grounded in a sense, where you have like the hero being a part of their own kind of slice of the world with problem to their kind of level of stuff and everything. And then the third movie ends up in the bid to set up more stuff for the cinematic universe, throwing in all of these like multiversal or huge like cosmic problems for the characters that were maybe hinted at previously but weren't like super huge part of the narrative. And in that, you kind of lose what I think works really well about the previous two movies. Like with Ant-Man, you lose the his supporting cast with Louise and Kurt and some of the more grounded aspects. And with this one, I was surprised to see how much I missed Anne and Dan. Um, where it ends up feeling like it kind of jumps the shark over what I really did enjoy about the first two Venom movies, where you end up losing a lot of the previous heart in all of the noise. Not to say that this movie doesn't have heart, and um, it really surprised me where some of that heart showed up. And where that did happen, those were by far my favorite parts of the movie. Um,
Yeah.
and we can get into spoilers to discuss what some of those might have been.
First things first, our predictions. This does not mess up any of our
Thank
plans.
God.
It does not mess up any of our plans. Second of all, there's there's no Peter Parker in this thing.
Thank
Third of
the
all,
Lord.
Reese Ifans is not Kurt Connors.
That was more, we kind of believed that anyway, but it's glad to have it confirmed.
There was no moment in which like the lights are flashing on Venom that make him look like red and blue, but then like he jumps onto the car and then like because of that he's just glowing blue, kind of like the Marvel vs. Capcom, which is kind of because the movie is called
Would
Blue
fucking kill
Harvest
you.
and a lot of it's that doesn't happen.
No, that doesn't
Um
happen. No.
yeah, was very disappointed
I
in that
was
prediction
really,
not
really
occurring.
hoping that the like flashing red and blue scene would happen, specifically so that um as that's happening, Jarrett has to remember the Blue Harvest joke, and like
Yeah.
it would take him completely out of the movie.
I was hoping for that too. I was sitting on edge. Can we talk about the timeline of this stuff? Because
Yeah,
it's
what the
specifically
heck?
mentioned it is mentioned by Eddie that they've been, like, symbiotic for a year. And that doesn't there's a lot of things that does not line up with that, but I guess okay, fine, yeah, they've been together for a year. The timeline of these movies is 2018 to 2020. Like, June 2020 is the
If
cutoff point.
anyone is curious for a slightly more in-depth look at what the Sony universe timeline looks like, I encourage you to go to a channel called A Little Bit of Everything, or I think it's called A Bit of Everything. He just put out a video earlier on the day of recording that we've watched. That'll most likely be how our timeline functions. Where the first film
Mhm.
takes place, I believe it's September or October of 2018. October of 2018. Venom 2 into April of 2019.
6 months.
And then by the end of Venom 3, we are looking at July of, I believe, 2020. Initially, it was assumed that Venom 2 took place October of 2020, but this movie retconned that with its year-long, with it talking about it's been a year, and the Christmas debate that was briefly had where it's like, why are you wearing a Christmas tree? It's July.
It's July.
It's like, my mother made it for me, okay? It's July. And that's it. So we know it's July for some reason. Thank you.
So, real quick, in terms of planning, can we all agree that in our like our sort of in-game style movie for this entire saga, could we agree that it ends with one character, I don't know who it would be, walking around as there's a montage from all 13, 20 something films that we've pitched, along with like 75% of it being from the movie that like we have just pitched, set to Memories by Maroon 5. Can we just agree that that's
Now,
gonna
see,
happen?
if
Like
Deadpool
little
hadn't featured it, At Least You Had the Time of Your Life would have been my choice.
right, yeah,
My
right.
pick is My Way by Frank Sinatra.
Yeah, that's fair.
So where do we leave off by the end of this movie? Besides the fact that we have a very fun time watching Eddie roll around the world and consistently lose his shoes, which was a funny recurring bit that made no sense.
That was so stupid, but those kind of jokes that are completely innocuous, yet just keep happening, I love them.
I got physically ill when he got pissed on.
I think it's just supposed to represent this guy is going through it the entire time. He's being dragged along by his alien buddy, and he's like, I'm so over this. Like, it's just supposed to be like the consistent minor inconvenience where you're just like, fuck, man.
So we leave off with Venom sacrificing himself to kill the
He did as hell. I
xenophages.
was shocked. I was thought for
Um,
sure it was going to be a fake out.
He's dead, but they do have that last little bit of him that Strickland picked up from the bar that very
The cockroaches
No,
possess.
that's not that same vial.
I think it
There's
is.
a
I think
bolt
that's
bolt of
what that
electricity
was.
that comes out of that vial. It's the one that Agony had, the lightning powers. There's a little bzz,
Was it? God
not the
dang it.
Venom vial.
I think
It
it's the
ain't the
Venom
Venom
vial.
vial. It went
I'm staking my
I
belief
will
that it's the
show
Venom
you a
vial because
pirated copy of this movie right now.
No, we will not. Sony, do not listen to him.
There are other ways that we can have it work.
if Agony was the one in the vial, she crushed the vial, the entire symbiote latched onto her, and so now whatever her name was, Juno Temple, she's Agony, so she's got the full Agony symbiote. I think that that vial was this Venom one because Strickland had it. He took it from the beginning of the movie. We never saw it again, and all of the other symbiote vials were accounted for. The vial that Agony was in,
Was crushed and dropped.
Juno Temple crushed it completely. so that it could latch onto her. And the only vial that was not accounted for was the Venom vial.
Look, man, I ain't gonna argue with you about how it works. All I know is she had electricity powers, and then a light, small little bolt came out the jar. It's supposed to be a visual callback.
It's Venom. Why would it be a callback if the symbiote is already accounted
Because their
for?
logic doesn't make sense. It's just a visual reference to remember 20 minutes ago when we showed you a symbiote with speedster powers? Because who the fuck cares?
What we needed was the cockroach to walk up to the vial, and then Memories by Maroon 5 plays, and we did see clips of Teddy Payne
The
getting struck
same
by
reason
lightning.
that Michael Keaton's Vulture is in Morbius. They don't care. It's for you to point at.
Wikipedia says in a post-credit scene, a panicked bartender escapes the burned remains of Area 51 as a black cockroach crawls from the rubble next to a broken vial that previously contained a sample of the Venom
Wiki
symbiote.
doesn't know.
I'm telling you there was a lightning bolt.
No, I'm inclined to trust it. I mean,
I will show you the clip.
so all this talk of Teddy Payne, I think that's probably the most secondary, most important character of this movie next to Venom and Eddie.
Which is wild.
Yeah. This character is technically original. She is not from the comics, but Thaddeus Payne, her dead brother, is. So Thaddeus Payne's whole thing is that he is a surgeon. He's a doctor that's very evil, and he gets addicted to eating brains in the books. So him getting struck by lightning and killed has suddenly made Earth 688 or whatever this is the most sane Earth ever, because Thaddeus Payne is dead.
That's probably
And
good.
Teddy Payne is still around. So we can't bring in Thaddeus Payne into the SPUMM universe.
Turns out your brother was gonna be a sadistic serial killer, so we're glad he's dead.
Yeah, this is good. But talking about Teddy Payne for a little bit, her arc could have been take it or leave it. But I guess there is a sort of future with her in our universe now, because she still has what is it?
Agony,
Is it
yeah.
Agony? Yeah. That's nice.
I mean, yeah, she exists. We've got... Is that the only symbiote that survived the Xenophage
Yep.
fight?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
your Venom cockroach is real.
I'm certain. I'm 100% certain. And so we're just gonna have to agree to disagree on this one and see who's right in the wash.
Such a bad song. It is such a bad song. That whole scene, it was pointless. It was from reshoots.
They did reshoots to show him walking down a sidewalk in New York and go to Liberty Island.
And people, I remember when it happened, I sent a message in this chat and I said, "Y'all, are we screwed? Is he about to see Spider-Man? Why am I so stupid? Why am I so dumb? Why am I so fandom brain that is so dumb? Oh my god, in hindsight, I should have just recognized Maroon 5 and have montage. This movie could have been 5 stars, and it took it down a whole star for me because of that montage. Ridiculous decision.
So you're right. There is lightning, which could mean that it is the Agony vial. Don't know why it would be, but the cockroach is black. And do you know what they did for all of the post credits? Venom animals. Why?
Also,
it could be a Venom cockroach.
Why would Venom try and bond to something when he was trying to kill himself?
Well, they're set up for it because earlier in the movie, it's mentioned that cockroaches can survive anything. So if a cockroach can survive anything, then Venom can.
Dumb as hell.
This is Sony, Jarrett. You're trying to convince us that Sony is dumb as heck for setting up something for no reason. This is the exact same thing in the opposite direction. I think the moral of the story here is nobody knows what the heck Sony's plans are, and we're all in the dark when it comes to trying to figure out what they could possibly want their stories to mean.
Which is why we're going to be trying to make the pitches work.
Okay.
Yeah.
Moving back to the reshoots, at the end of the movie, before the credits, Noah. I'm convinced that the original script did not have him actually go to Liberty Island. And so the reshoots were like, they keep mentioning Liberty Island. Show them go to Liberty Island. And so the reshoots was just for him to walk down the street, stare at Liberty Island and go, gonna miss you, buddy. And that was it. And they were like, this feels too small. What are we gonna do? I know. Let's pull a Wakanda Forever, where we play clips from the past 2 times that we saw him, Venom and Eddie, and play sad
Yeah,
music.
I think that was one of the funniest like memory montage scenes ever because it felt like they were trying to pay off this Venom trilogy as like this big era of films or something, or like we've
And it really wasn't.
gotten to know and love Eddie and Venom deeply through this time. And like, yeah, I like Eddie and Venom. They're pretty fun characters, but I don't like them enough to have that montage feel earned in any way.
People on
Ridiculous.
Letterboxd giving this 3-star reviews saying, "Why am I crying at an alien goo?"
My nose did get kind of like itchy. Like I could have
You're so sensitive,
had
bro.
had I let myself had I let myself simmer in the feelings, I'm sure it wasn't sad. It was just like, wow, this is a movie. Like this is
Peyton, you can tell
cinema.
us if you
No,
cried
no,
during Venom
no,
3.
no, no. I didn't
This
cry,
is a
but
safe space. If you cried during Venom's death scene, I will admit there was one scene. I think the scene that got me the most with the emotion was actually when he's in the car with Martin's family.
Favorite scene in the movie.
oh, that
Favorite scene in the movie.
that was the best scene of the movie. Yeah,
Unironically, favorite scene. One of the reasons why I love this movie probably the most.
I think that was like the best scene of maybe all
Mhm.
3 of these movies. For some reason, everything there worked. Like them singing, like starting to sing Ground Control Major Tom was like it would have been so easy for this to be such an annoying scene, but somehow they played it so earnestly and so sincerely that it felt like a genuine family moment that Eddie was there for. And Venom singing along while Eddie is just kind of looking out the window forlornly, thinking about what he could have, was actually very affecting.
the line of like "you could have been a great father" like gave me chills. Like it
Just
was
like,
like
oh,
from Venom. It's like god damn, which thus means Dylan Brock is probably not a reality.
yet.
Um, yet don't know how that'll work.
And then like the words he shares with Martin about like the
Mhm.
afterlife and
Coming back right after Venom dies and he's about to like pass out, where he repeats like the same. I was
yeah.
like, dude, like genuine human connection and emotion and personal stakes. Best favorite of the 3.
So I don't think that it landed completely for me as far as like Venom's sacrifice because I just don't think that Eddie and Venom got the focus they needed for this movie. My biggest issue is that too much of the time was taken up by the scientist group. And
Mhm.
there was like 4 separate exposition scenes explaining what Null's deal was. And Null never left his chair.
Interesting decision to start the movie with like, "I am Noel."
God of the Void.
You know what's funny? It reminds me of some of the biggest problems with The Mummy 2017, where they give you like the background story, like in a montage of clips, like that take place in ancient Egypt, and then later on somebody explains it at a table at a bar, and then later on again somebody explains it in the Prodigium office with the mummy held captive, holding like the dagger. It's like this dagger of Set is like, yeah, we know, we've been told like 3 times already. They're trying to build up Null as a threat, and in doing so, they're just repeating themselves. It's like you could have cut all but one
Yeah.
of these. Why did you have a whole explanation at the very beginning just so you could repeat yourself twice?
I think when they tried to play it as like emotional and sincere as they could, I think it landed. I think they did well with getting that emotion across and making us feel like, you know, the loss of Venom, the loss of Eddie and Venom. However, I just think that for me, it too much time ended up being taken up by stuff that was either it felt unnecessary to the emotional core or just ended up being redundant and it kind of made it like diluted the feeling that I had for Eddie and Venom by the end of it.
It really wanted to lean on the idea that you already care about these characters because you enjoy their dynamic, which,
Mhm.
despite being in 2 movies prior to this, don't think we have.
I love Eddie and Venom's dynamic.
Haven't had enough, like, genuine, heartfelt moments that make them seem like good friends, though. They just
Yeah,
seem like
I
they
agree.
annoy one another and are goofy and work together to save the world. And so when they try to have, like, genuine moments with one another, it's like, this feels like the first time this has happened.
A little bit, yeah.
And every single time something like Venom would say something nice to Eddie, I'm like, "You're really pulling. You really want us to be like, aw, they're friends." And I'm like,
And if they just given more time for that, or like a more of like a genuine heartfelt kind of like an acknowledgement that they give each other
"Hmm,
crap, they pretend like they hate each other, they pretend like I think a scene where Eddie like talking to Venom directly and being like, I act like you ruined my life when you came in, but I think that you gave me something to live for, kind
mm,
of thing. And just making it because Venom had most of the emotional moments. He was the one that was opening up the most. He was the one that was more in touch with his emotions through most of this
mhm."
series. And it could have benefited from having one moment where like Eddie himself is able to address that as well and be like, yeah, man, like you're a part of me. I can't imagine living without you now that we've been together for a year.
We had our legally required dance scene
Yeah.
in a scene that, by all means, should have broken the plot of this film. And so the
Yep.
question is, why
Yep.
was it there? And the answer is because it's legally required, as we are
Yeah.
all know, all as we are all aware.
I don't think we can be mad about that one. That's in the contract.
It's like, but you know the xenophage is coming. It's like, yep, but it's legally required, and this is the best place for it to fit. So here it is. Speaking of xenophages, fucking horrifying. Those
Those
things
things
are
are
rad as
rad.
hell. And honestly,
Yeah, I like
the
the
number
character
of times
design.
that we see them like chomp down on somebody and then a buzz saw sound and blood splurries out of the back of their head, I was like, is this R? Is this PG-13? I had to double check when I got out of the theater. I was like, I feel like I'm shocked that a PG-13 movie was able to get away with like speed grinding human
Wood
beings to
chipper.
pulp and then spraying them into the air. But I mean, hey, I was like, wow, okay, impressive. Getting away with like gory effects without committing to an R. I kind of respect it.
Yeah. No, I thought that was insane. Like the the first dude gets eaten and there's just this spray of blood out the back of the xenophage's head and I was like, "Oh, so we're doing this." That's kind of
You want to talk
wild.
about raising the intensity and the stakes? It's like, oh shit, okay.
So what do you think about the origin for Flash Thompson?
Beg your pardon?
Oh yeah, that guy's whose legs get chopped
In
off.
the final battle where there's a helicopter flying around, shooting at the xenophage, and the xenophage jumps up into the helicopter, grabs the gunner and pulls him down, and like buzzsaws his legs, and then he's pulled out by Strickland, and like he gets set on the jeep and goes off into the distance.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they call him Agent
Do
Thompson.
they really?
Yes, they
Oh
do.
my gosh.
What are we supposed to do about
Use
this?
him.
Agent Venom spinoff? Yeah, I guess so.
So yeah, we got Flash established to be used later.
So I got a random, I guess not like a just a weird gripe with the beginning of the plot. Cuz they talk about like when he decides to go to New York. They briefly bring up like oh, you're not supposed to be in New York. You got kicked out. He's like, "Yeah, that evil judge. He's going to get what's coming to him. I got dirt on him too." I'm like, "You've had dirt on him this long? You didn't use that like
Senator?
when you were being kicked out? I'd have used that before you trial and got told to leave. Why was there even a judge who like legally required you to leave the state of New York or leave New York City?
What did Eddie do to have to be forced to leave New York City?
Something with his
It's the
paper.
concrete jungle where dreams are made of. How is this fair? Or is it part of the Boogle?
I don't know. I don't know.
Was he like kicked out of New did he live in New York at the beginning of the of the first one? Was he kicked out for like his Life Foundation story?
Before that, They mention him during one of his dinner dates at the beginning of the first movie. She says, "We don't want another bugle incident." And he says, "Ow, hurtful."
Okay, so
He
he was
was
kicked out
kicked out
prior.
and told to do something else. So we start with him having moved to San Francisco and gotten his own the Eddie Brock report, where he like snoops into places people don't want him to be, and he talks about like the real issues and the real problems. So I guess he went snooping in New York in some place that nobody wanted him to be at, and somebody with connections made a judge tell him, "Hey, go piss off."
He walks in on a guy eating sins, and he goes, "What are you, some kind of a sin
Peyton, I'm
eater?"
gonna disconnect you from call.
And then they're like, "We gotta kill this guy now."
I'm gonna disconnect you from call.
Eddie Brock, you need to leave the state of New York. You came up with the worst name for a villain ever.
I don't know why I'm here. Has to do with Sin Eater, I think.
Please tell me the Sin Eater bit gets cut out of the episode.
It won't.
So where we're left off by the end of this movie, Eddie is in New York. Venom is dead. He's planning to clear his name and stick it to this evil, stupid judge that he was talking about at the beginning. Like we said, Venom and all the other Earth symbiotes that we know of are dead, save for the purple speed one that we said was named Agony.
Yeah, it's
And
agony.
per the mid-credit scene, Null is awake and plans to take over the universe, even though he doesn't have his way to get there anymore. So he is scheming to
Yeah,
return.
he is.
You can't get
He
out
is
of
still
that
scheming
chair.
to return, but how, we do not know.
If I was Noel, I would be catching up on NFL lore. Like, I'd be watching every NFL game.
Ba-da-bup, ba-da-bup, ba-da-bup-ba-bum. Ba-da-bup,
Noel's
ba-da-bup,
like,
ba-da-bup,
"I am Noel.
ba-da-bum.
I love John Madden."
I am Null. These Kansas City Chiefs games are rigged.
Can you tell it's 11:30 and we're
Yeah, we
tired?
are quickly falling asleep. I feel it at the wheel. The other thing is Imperium is gone.
Is it
It
gone?
was the organization that I mean, it's probably still around in some form. But that's like essentially a sort of shield like organization based around symbiote.
So yeah, we're putting Venom The Last Dance is officially part of our canon, which means that so
Mm.
far in our canon, we have Venom, Let There Be Carnage, Morbius, Madam Web, Doc Ock, Mr. and Mrs. Parker, El Muerto coming soon, and Venom The Last
This is
Dance.
the
This is
longest phase
important.
1 known to man.
This is important for future setup. Peyton and I were discussing this. Noah, we're going to run it by you, but I think it kind of feels like it's for the best for future storytelling and everything.
Okay.
Once we get to a point where, because the initial assumption was that after a certain point they were most likely going to stop these. If Null is not being set up for an MCU film and they try to make a movie in the future where all of their characters team up to fight Null, it would undoubtedly send anything that we would set up in the meantime into oblivion. Like if Eddie meets Morbius for the first time in a movie they make in 4 years, it retcons whenever we have them meet in our own stuff.
That is if Jared Leto was still alive.
What?
We think it would probably be best to make our divergence point Craven. Everything up until Craven is canon, and then we're going to diverge on our own path. If they decide to do their own thing, fine. But if they make a team up where Eddie meets Morbius and Madam Web and whoever the hell, and it's like we're now a new team, and they go fight Null, we're going to ignore it and do our own story. Because we have a lengthy
Okay.
foundation now. We have a mini arc with Venom, we have a lot of supporting characters set up, and we have the threat of a potential big bad for much later down the road. We can use this to build out, expand,
Okay.
and build into that phase 3 without having to worry about them going, and now we're doing this, and walking back anything that we'd want to do, because it would be very difficult to try and take any big swings creatively for the three of us if in 3 years they retcon that and we're required to fit it into our canon.
I think
Good
that's
thinking.
fair. I can respect that. I do say we kind of, at least for the time being, I would recommend also playing it by ear because we aren't going to know for sure what they really want to do until we see how Venom
Right.
does in as far as box office. Because I'm sure that well, no, I'm not. It's
Mhm.
Sony. I would imagine that they would not continue much farther if Venom doesn't do super hot. It seems like that's not going to be the case. It's already been doing very well in
They've
China.
already set up that Null is a multiple movie threat, so they plan to do more with him later
Yeah,
on. Whether it's Spider-Man 4
I
CU
think so.
or if Marvel refuses to go that route, then they'll try and do it themselves, which would, without a doubt, mess up anything we would try and do in the meantime.
I think that's fair. I could get behind that as a choice that we
So,
do.
as mentioned earlier in this episode, we did originally like record these episodes, but we lost the files for them, so we have to re-record them. So, when we do the pitches, most likely it's not going to be a lot of workshopping. It's going to be more so like a sort of, I imagine, probably an audio drama of some sort.
Because the thing is, we did the workshopping in the
We did
first
the workshop, and
episodes.
so what we're doing is we're going back and fixing it, and then like making
Mhm.
very minor changes to some of the things. So it's gonna be it'll probably be a lot shorter than the other episodes that we've had in this episode as well. Yeah, that's really it.
So with that, guys, thank you so much for your patience with waiting for this next episode. A lot's happened. At least had a move, and there was so much stuff
Two.
going on. Yeah, it's 2 people moved. There's been a lot of things going on, a lot of hectic personal life stuff. Summer was crazy, fall's still been crazy. There's a lot of things going on, but we're glad to be back. We're excited to be back, and we are excited to see you guys, for you guys to hear what's coming next. So with that being said, thank you guys so much. Welcome back.
Did this episode have to do with
I
Spider-Man?
think.
Kinda.
Okay.
With that, see you
Rock
guys.
on.